So James Gallagher versus Cal Ellenor took place in the main event of Bellator Fight Night Euro Series 9, and it finished earlier in the night. I'm just recording this now after watching Holly Holm versus Irene Aldana UFC Fight Night Fight Island 4. I thought I'd go back and talk about what I watched at Gallagher versus Ellenor in the main event. It was a great performance from James Gallagher. He got the submission in the first round, and I just want to say this, because I feel like no one actually has ever said this before other than me in the existence of the MMA sphere whatsoever. James Gallagher is actually really good for a 23-year-old. He's 11-1 and no one acts like that's a thing. He's 11-1 and people act like he can't fight. He submit guys in the first round who are 8-2, dominates him the entire time, takes him down with ease. If you didn't watch the fight between him and Cal Ellenor, he basically dominated him start to finish. Just came out, ate some shots, threw a couple shots back, no big deal. Landed a hard leg kick in the first round. Then Cal Ellenor tried to return the leg kick and James Gallagher pounced like a cat straight for the legs. Got the takedown, very well timed. Caught the leg perfectly, went straight into a double leg. Took down Cal Ellenor, wasted no time whatsoever. And Cal Ellenor is not a bum. He's 8-2 on the regional scene. There are guys in the bantamweight division of the UFC who have records of 8-5. Ali Al-Qassi, I believe, is 8-4, 8-5 right now in his UFC career. We value guys in the UFC getting wins over people with records of, say, something like 9-3, but we don't give any credit for guys outside of the UFC beating similar caliber opponents purely because the words and letters U, F, and C are not above the promotion that they fight under. I don't quite understand why that is, to be honest with you. I don't know why no one gives James Gallagher respect. I know exactly why it is, though, because he sounds like Conor McGregor. We're going to talk about that in the later half of this video, but I just want to talk about the performance a little bit more. But he sounds a bit like Conor McGregor, okay? And I get it that he does do a lot of things that McGregor did. We'll get to that in the second half of this video. I want to talk about the performance, though, first of all. Let's not get caught up in that thing that everyone talks about when it comes to Gallagher. I need to talk about the performance. Body triangle, locked in the whole time, great balance, adjustments made with his positioning on the back to make sure he ensured the same position. He landed some good shots. He was constantly fighting the choke. He was setting things up the whole time, giving a fake hand for the choke and trying to fish up the other one. And Cal Ellenor, in all fairness to him, defended with a dangerous guy on his back for the majority of the first round and showed that he was not in there just to cash a paycheck. He wanted to get out of that position. He wasn't quite fighting the body triangle enough, which is something that you do have to go for. He was rolling in the opposite direction of where the feet were connected on the body triangle as well, which is also something you're not really supposed to do, but there was some mistakes, but James Gallagher capitalized, ended up getting the finish, and got the job done against Cal Ellenor in the first round by rear naked choke. I predicted a first round submission win for James Gallagher. I got my first round submission win for James Gallagher, and he dominated an 8-2 guy in the first round. I'm looking at the UFC bantamweight division right now. Anderson Dos Santos, number 70 in the world, 19-8. Okay? Moving up, John Castaneda, 17-5. Just reading you some records. Gustavo Lopez, last loss to Merab Dvalishvili, has another fight in the UFC coming up soon in November 7th. 11-5. Jerome Rivera, 10-3. 8-4 Martin Day has a fight coming up soon against Anderson Dos Santos. Odie Osborne, 8-3. 12-4 Aaron Phillips. Gabriel Silva, 8-2. Same record as Cal Ellenor. 19-6. Guido Canetti, 8-5. Ali Al-Qassi, 8-4. Dana Batgarel, 7-2. Cole Smith, 7-2. Erwin Rivera, 10-6. Vince Morales, 9-5. 8-3. 9-2. 12-5. 8-3. I'm reading you records of the bottom 20 ranked guys in the UFC that if they beat each other, people would say they're savages. Kyler Phillips had a fight on the card tonight on a Holm vs Aldana UFC Fight Night Fight Island 4, where he took on Cameron Else, who was 10-4 and had fought nothing but complete bums outside of Paddy Pimblett at the very start of his career. He managed to get a submission win over Paddy Pimblett. Credit. Other than that, fought complete bums, lost to bums, okay, 10-4. Everyone is now saying in the UFC that Kyler Phillips is going to go on to do damage in the UFC bantamweight division because he beat 10-4 Cameron Else, who had beaten terrible opponents to get that record. And I mean shockingly terrible opponents to get that record. And everyone gives Kyler Phillips credit and said he's going to be the next big thing at bantamweight. James Gallagher is 23 years of age. He's 11-1. And no one gives him any credit for winning at all And we'll talk about this part of it now. He beat Cal Ellenor, who's 8-2. Cal Ellenor is coming off a win against a guy who is 6-2, Nathan Grayson, better than anyone Cameron Elsh just beat, that just lost to Kyler Phillips. 6-2, Nathan Grayson, good win, last win, coming off of a win. Rear naked choked him in the first round, good fighter. And James Gallagher goes out there and beats him, and no one gives him credit because he sounds like Conor McGregor. I don't get it, man. I don't get it. He sounds like Conor McGregor because he's from the same place as Conor McGregor. And I know that he's from Strabane, and he's originally born in Strabane. And there's a bit of a different accent than the Dublin. The Dublin accent's a little bit different down here. You know what I mean? A little bit different accent. I understand that, and maybe the accent has morphed. Maybe the accent has morphed from the Northern Irish accent, kind of up here, up the Northern, and down to the dub, and do the dub, and it's kind of swayed a bit. I get it. Okay, the vowels are being pronounced different now from James Gallagher. But if I was a 10-year-old boy and I was from Ireland and I wanted to be the best MMA fighter in the world and I went to the same gym as Conor McGregor and McGregor took me under his wing and made basically a baby brother out of me, which he did to James Gallagher back in the day when he was a young, impressionable kid, I would sound a little bit like Conor McGregor if I was from the same place with a similar accent anyway, and I had looked up to McGregor for the entirety of my teenage years. I would pick up some traits from Conor McGregor. I really would. And I don't know why he gets shit. He's interesting. I always watch him fight because there's always something on the line, because I know people want to see him get KO'd. And here's what I also want to say. I get that people want that, and I get that people don't like him. And I like that they don't. But I think that one person in the MMA community needs to come out and say, this guy is 11-1. He only lost to Ricky Bandejas, who isn't a bum and was 10-1 at the time. And Gallagher was 20 years of age against 10-1 Ricky Bandejas. Fair play, you lost in the first round. You know what I want to see from James Gallagher next? Take on one more opponent. Increase your win streak even more. Beat one more guy. Who did I just mention as a guy? Ricky Bandejas, who beat you, has a fight coming up in a few weeks. I say James Gallagher, get a fight in before the end of the year. Fight once more in 2020 against a decently recorded guy. Improve your streak to number 5. Separate yourself from the Bandejas win or loss a little bit more. And then rematch Ricky Bandejas. The winner of that one gets a shot in the top 3. The winner of that one fights for the Bellator title. It's like people don't acknowledge that Gallagher is 11-1, 23 years of age, destroying people in the first round by rear naked choke who are 8-2 and have a better record than the bottom 20 of the rankings in the UFC bantamweight division, and have fought better competition than the guys in the UFC bantamweight division to get there, in Cameron Elsh that I just mentioned, and they deny that he could be 2 fights away from a title shot at Bellator. I don't get it, but I get it. I understand the whole thing, but it's just, someone's got to say that he's doing good. So good job, James Gallagher. Don't commit suicide or something, because honestly, I worry for him a little bit, because it must be, as much as he says he doesn't give a fuck about the haters, yeah, and that stuff, you do want some, I know people want compliments for their work, and it must be annoying for James Gallagher, regardless of how much he completely dominates someone and looks good, no one gives a fuck, and they don't care, and they just want to see him lose, and they don't give a fuck what he does. He's beating good guys, and he had the best bantamweight win this weekend, and the UFC was on. How about that, eh? Good win from James Gallagher. Great stuff. One more fight, beat a good guy this year. Next year, early next year, you versus Bandejas rematch. Right that wrong if you can. Good matchup still. Great test still, because Bandejas is still a savage. Yeah, see what goes on. Then get a title shot or a top 3 opponent that leads you towards a title shot. And then hopefully we get Gallagher in the UFC. He's 23. 23! And he's doing this shit to good guys. 23. 11-1. I get it, though. I get it. He sounds like McGregor. I get it. All good. Just what I'd mention. Gallagher's killing shit. And he's doing good. And he's on a 5-fight winning streak right now. Against not even terrible guys. 4-fight winning streak. And I say not terrible. They're not good. But 6-3. 12-6. Look at the records I read you in the UFC roster just earlier. Pretty similar. 12-6, 6-3. Roman Salazar used to be in the UFC, got guillotined within the first 35 seconds by James Gallagher like he's nothing. Even though he's 13-9 now, I get it. Still dominating. No one cares though. It's weird. But yeah, James Gallagher, great job this weekend with an amazing submission win. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do from this. And if he's doing this to guys at 23 years of age, what's he going to do in his prime if he doesn't get KO'd too many more times? What if he doesn't get KO'd too many more times and he makes it to 28, 29? 5-6 more years of a young guy learning new things to his game. He's already choking out 8-2 guys who are also not in their prime yet. It's not like Cal Ellenor's this older guy who's been KO'd a bunch of times. He's lost one split decision and one decision lost to Lufando Biko, who was 4-1 at the time and is now 7-2 overall. You know, like it. Give him credit. But all good. Good win from James Gallagher. Great submission, rear naked. Stay patient with it as well, which I was very impressed with. And also, something I did notice, little Gunnar Nelson strategies. Nice little front knuckles from James Gallagher in the eye. He wasn't trying to damage Cal Ellenor, which shows good fight IQ. He wasn't just trying to swing and KO Cal Ellenor with his back when he had his back. Of course, you wouldn't try and do that, but still. He was just digging front knuckles into the eye, into the nose, into the mouth, getting Cal Ellenor to stop fighting the hands. Then he got the rear naked choke. It was a good performance. It reminded me of Gunnar Nelson versus... Gunnar Nelson, I want to say, versus Zach Cummings. I want to say that. And I'm going to look up Gunnar Nelson's career because he had this exact kind of similar situation in a rear naked where he couldn't quite get the choke, but he ended up getting it with his ground and pound attacks. And I want to say it was against... Zach Cummings, it was. Rear naked choke round 2. Similar technique. They're both trained by the same person in John Kavanagh. And tell you this about John Kavanagh as well. I think he's like 12-1 right now. Overall in fights. Like he's got a ridiculous recent record of SBG members destroying people. So yeah, danger. James Gallagher, 23 years of age, 11-1. Just destroying good competition. And no one cares unless he gets KO'd. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Click that button there. I care. I care, James Gallagher. I notice. You're really good. And I want you to be in the UFC one day. And I want to see how you hang. Because you've got a really good ground game. You're very nimble. You're quick on your feet. And it's weird that you're that good at 23. So good job. Goodbye.